For today's mini lesson on logs, we are going to go over how to go through your rotation, see if you're doing it properly, or miss something, or just flat out want to compare your rotation to someone else's. For starters, go to warcraftlogs.com. Secondly, in the upper left corner, make sure you have the correct game type selected, whether that be live or classic. Next, type in the character's name that you are trying to review, or if you have a login and you're trying to get to one of your characters, from the right side you have a drop down to select from your character selection when your BattleNet is synced with Warcraft Logs. So once you have your character selected, you come to a page that you can filter for damage, healing, different bosses, different specs, different difficulties, specific expansions, as well as specific raids. Now, in order for you to review a fight on Warcraft Logs, said fight has to be logged and uploaded by any participating member of the fight, and I will also do a short video to show you how to do so. Now, once you have selected the appropriate character, you will need to filter this page to get to the fight that you're wanting to review. So, for simplicity of today's lesson, we'll be using one of the more recent single target rate bosses on my rep pally as an example. So Season 4 of Shadowlands had a rotating faded difficulty that jumped around all of Shadowlands raids. So for this video, we are going to use Sepulchre of the first ones. We are going to select the faded patch, and we're just going to go to the heroic difficulty. So once you have the filter or the specific raid in front of you, you can see all of the faded, heroic bosses that I did, and we are going to use Lehuvum. It's a good single target fight with occasional cleave as an example. Once you select said boss, you now have a line graph in front of you that shows percentiles, and when you mouse over them, it'll show you the different dates as to what the percentile was for that date. It can key you off to some of the big changes that they made throughout the patch. Right below it, you also have the different bosses that were logged for that difficulty in that raid on that boss. So select whichever fight you are looking to review. It's got the date and the length of the fight, what item level you were at the time, as well as what your talents and trinkets were. So once you select the fight that you are trying to review, you now have that encounter in front of you. You can see the same information that you would have in your damage meter or heal meter, depending on what you're filtered for, that your in-game meter would show. But we want to filter for a specific person. We're not looking for viewing everybody. So from this screen, just click on the name of the one that you're trying to review. We get into a little bit more, and it's got a plethora of information with graphs, charts. It's got all your cast time, your average hit, your crit, but that's not what we're looking for today. We're looking for rotation. So from here, we're still going to stick up towards the top. You want to select casts, and then you have one of two options to go from here. You've got two different ways to review your rotation. You've got timeline and you have events. So timeline has a horizontal breakdown. It shows all of the abilities at the same time on the left and kind of goes through them. You could follow along with a vertical piece of paper, a pencil, a ruler to really get a good breakdown as far as what's coming in order if it makes it easier. But you can scroll through the entire fight. You can see the gaps in your ability timings. So when you have downtime, you'll have big spaces, whether you had some movement in there, going from, add to boss, boss to add, moving across from mechanics. You will see some of those gaps in your rotation. And when you have a high mechanic fight, that's completely normal. Um, this particular spot is just to look at rotation though. So without knowing that fight to a T from this screen, it's hard to tell why you have a gap. If you're going solely for rotation based view, you can also click on events back up at the top, and that will give you a top down in order. It's all butted up against each other rotation, showing like my first cast that I did while I was coming within range was my judgment, followed by my potion, um, and twisted judgment, which is the on use weapon ability. Bladed justice. It goes through in order everything that I press down to the millisecond of what was cast throughout the entire fight. Over on the right, you see who it was cast on. Now, if you want to look and see where a rotation went backwards, if you threw in the wrong ability, or if you did your opener wrong, this is a great resource to look at to see how your opener looks. So where a big part of our burst comes from, or a ramp up class, you can see, all right, I know that was the end of my ramp. Boom, did I use all of my spending of that entire ramp appropriately? This is where you can find out. Now, you can either compare this to a guide that's going, if you're trying to learn a class and look at your rotation, you can pull up a guide separately and look and see if you did it right. You can open another page and pull up one of your other fights and compare your, last week's fight to this week's fight. You can pull up one of the higher ranked guys and compare your rotation to theirs. Or you can just pull up one of theirs and see what their opener is before you even go into a fight. Now, one thing I recommend if you are comparing to another person that is of a different ranking, as long as it's not, your other fight, make sure that that other person is built almost identically. There will be some variance on gear and stats. It won't be down to the T, but make sure that they are built the same so that the rotation is supposed to come out the same. Now, that is the quick and clear direction on how to get to your rotation on a specific fight in Warcraft Logs. There will be more videos to come on how to log your own fights, how to view your uptimes on your buffs, how to look at replays to make sure you were positioned right, or where some of your downtime was so you can readjust some of your cooldown timing. But that concludes today's video. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button to make sure you don't miss out on anything in the future. And we will see you next time.